All right, future doctors, let's talk about one of the most intimidating units for NEET, diversity in the living world. It feels like there's just so much to memorize, right? Well, what if I told you there's a secret? If you master the logic of this chapter, you're not just learning one unit, you're basically unlocking the key to half of your biology syllabus. Seriously. So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're building that rock-solid foundation, turning memorization into real understanding. Let's dive in.
First, let's just get a sense of the sheer scale of what we're dealing with. We're not talking about a handful of animals here. We're talking about 1.7 to 1.8 million known species. That's 17 to 18 lakh different organisms. I mean, everything from bacteria living in fiery volcanic vents to the gigantic blue whale. Now, this mind-boggling variety is what makes biology so fascinating. But let's be honest, for a NEET aspirant, it's also kind of terrifying. How on earth are you supposed to study all of that?
And that right there is the big question, isn't it? With this bewildering variety of life, how do we even begin to make sense of it? We can't possibly study them one by one. It would be impossible. What we need is a system, a scientific method to bring some order to this beautiful chaos. And that's precisely the framework we're going to build together today.
So here's our game plan. We'll start by pinning down what living even means. Then, we'll look at how scientists create order and the strict rules they follow for naming things. After that, we'll climb down the great ladder of life's hierarchy, and we'll wrap it all up with some super important NEET-ready classifications and memory tricks to make sure it all sticks.
Okay, first things first. Before we can even think about classifying life, we've got to agree on what life is. Now, it might sound super simple, but in biology, being precise is everything. So what are the absolute, non-negotiable characteristics that separate, say, a living rose from a non-living rock?
Now, listen up, because this is a classic NEET trap. You have to understand the difference between a characteristic feature and a defining feature. A characteristic is, well, it's something most living things have. But a defining feature is the gold standard. It has to follow two ironclad rules. One, it must be in all living things, no exceptions allowed. And two, it must be found in no non-living things. Let's see which features actually make the cut. So let's apply that logic. Take growth. Living things grow, obviously. But so do mountains, so do sand dunes. They grow by accretion, which is just piling material on the outside. Since a non-living thing can grow, growth fails the test. It's just a characteristic. Okay, what about reproduction? Seems essential, right? But think about it. Mules, sterile worker bees, infertile human couples, they are all 100% alive, but they can't reproduce. So boom, an exception. That means reproduction is also just a characteristic. But now, look at the bottom three. Metabolism, the sum of all chemical reactions in the body. Does a rock have metabolism? Nope. Cellular organization. All life is made of cells, period. And consciousness, the ability to sense and respond to your environment. Even a bacterium does this. These three, these are the real deal. These are our true defining features of life. And that whole mule example, it perfectly highlights why reproduction isn't a defining feature. The legendary biologist Ernst Mayr gave us what's called the biological concept of species. He said it's not enough for two individuals to just breed. Their offspring have to be fertile too. So a horse and a donkey can make a mule, but that mule is sterile. It can't have babies of its own. This is proof that its parents belong to different species, and it's the perfect reason why reproduction has exceptions.
Awesome. So now that we have a solid definition of what living means, we can get back to our main problem. How do we classify all 1.8 million species? Well, the science that gives us the answer is called taxonomy. It's the whole process of identifying, naming, and classifying organisms. The main thing to get is that taxonomy isn't random. It's a super logical four-step process. Think of yourself as a biological detective. Step 1 is characterization. You find a new bug, and you note down the clues. It has 6 legs, a pair of wings, antenna. Step 2 is identification. You compare those clues to your database of known insects to see if it's a match. Step 3 is classification. You file it away in the right drawers. It's an animal, it's an arthropod, it's an insect. And finally, step 4, nomenclature. You give it an official scientific name.
Let's zero in on that last step, nomenclature or naming. Why is it so important? Well, imagine the chaos of local names. A single plant might be called 10 different things in 10 different places.
A scientist in another country would have no idea what you're talking about. We need one standard name, a universal language that all biologists everywhere can understand.
And the person we have to thank for this system is the absolute genius, Carolus Linnaeus. He's the one who came up with a system we still use today, called binomial nomenclature. Binomial literally means two names. He was so dedicated to his system, he even Latinized his own name from Carl von Linné to the two-part Carolus Linnaeus.
Now, these rules are super strict, they're universal, and they pop up on exams all the time. First, the names are in Latin. Why? Because it's a dead language, which means it doesn't change over time, so the meanings are fixed forever. Second, every name has two parts. The genus, which is kind of like your last name, and the species, which is like your first name. The genus always starts with a capital letter. The species always starts with a lowercase letter. When you type it, you have to put it in italics. When you write it out by hand, you must underline each word separately. And a little bonus fact, the name of the scientist who discovered it can be added at the end, like Lin for Linnaeus, after Mangifera indica, the name for mango.
Okay, so naming a single organism is one thing, but how does that one organism fit into the entire library of life? That's where the taxonomic hierarchy comes in. Think of it as a giant filing system, with ranks nested inside of ranks, going from the most general category all the way down to the most specific.
And to memorize these ranks for your exam, and trust me, you need to memorize them, you only have to remember one simple sentence. Keep podium clean or fam gets sick.
Let's break that down. Keep stands for kingdom. Podium is a clever one. The P is for phylum, which we use for animals, while the D is for division, which we use for plants. Then we have clean for class, or for order, fam for family, get for genus, and sick for species. And here's the most important concept to get. As you move down this ladder, from kingdom to species, the groups get smaller and the organisms inside them get more and more similar to each other. It's like zooming in on the map of life.
All right, enough theory. It's time to put it all into practice. This is where we take everything we've learned, defining features, naming rules, the hierarchy, and apply it to the exact examples you need to know cold for your NEET exam. This right here is your ultimate revision tool.
This chart is pure gold for NEET, so pay close attention. Let's just trace the logic for a second. Look at man. Genus is Homo, and the family is Hominidae. Now look at the housefly. Genus is Musca, family is Muscidae. You see that idae ending? That's a super common pattern for animal families. Let's follow the housefly all the way up. Its order is Diptera, class is Insecta, phylum is Arthropoda, and of course, it's in the kingdom Animalia. Every single step up is a logical grouping based on shared features. This chart isn't just something to memorize, it's a tool for understanding the entire system.
Okay, now for the pro tips. The memory hacks that will make this chart stick in your brain. For man, Homo and Homine are obvious links. Just lock in the order Primata. For the housefly, again, Musca goes to Muscidae. The tricky one to remember is the order, Diptera. For mango, I want you to remember a single magic word, Padsami. That's P-A-D-S-M-I. It stands for Plantae, Angiosperm, Dicot, Sapindales, Anacardiaceae, Mangifera indica. Say it a few times, Padsami. And finally for wheat, the key is knowing it's a monocot. Then just think, Popo. The order is Poalis and the family is Poaceae. Use these little tricks and you've got this entire chart locked down.
And there you have it, the blueprint for classifying all of life. We've gone from the complete chaos of 1.8 million species and organized it all into a beautiful, logical system. Now the power is in your hands. Take this framework, this way of thinking, and apply it to every new organism you study for NEET, from fungi to ferns to fish. This isn't just about one chapter, it's the key to understanding all of biology. Keep practicing with it, and honestly, you'll be unstoppable.